This is going to be a weekly wrap-up of the YouTube videos that I have browsed, the highlights, if there is any, compiled into one concise video for your viewing pleasure, comprehensively, just for you all loyal viewers of mine. It's my summary of the week's Orchid YouTube events. Hopefully this is as enjoyable for you as it was for me to make. If you're not here, it doesn't mean that you're not exciting. It just means that there were others more exciting. But I'm excited to share this with you.
This was such an exciting moment on the patio back in May. The onset of a spike on an orchid that would be a first-time bloomer if all went well. I'm pointing to myself. And also there was so much to observe, and it was a great time to learn something new about my Epidendrum schweinfurtianum. The standout thing I am learning is just how long it takes for a spike to form, to branch, and then bloom, which at the time of filming, the buds had not opened. So stay tuned for that video. I have 2 spikes, and surely I will be able to bring one of them to bloom out. Vamos a ver. And because my Victoria Regina is still in bloom, I'm featuring her again just in case you missed the previous video of Orchids in Bloom. If you would like to see her in more detail, I have linked that video in the description for you. What I appreciate about this orchid is that even as the blooms go over, they still have such a pretty color. Cane that is over 6 years old. Imagine that. This cane still pushed a bud, despite being that old, and the color is completely different. There are some other buds forming, also in an older cane. Yes, I have 3 different versions of Victoria Regina on this mount, so I'm also wondering if one of these varieties is a later bloomer than the others. Anyway, once again, I thoroughly enjoyed this orchid in bloom on the patio, and for that reason I featured her again. One of my summer blooming Rupiculus Lalias is also back in bloom with 2 blooms this time around. Are growing well, but so far not a single bloom despite getting the same care as this one. The bloom duration for the Cincorana is 4 weeks, easily temperature dependent. It can be 5, but the warmer it gets, the shorter the bloom duration, and has a delicious rose fragrance, which is fresh and light, but intense, if that makes sense. And the size of the bloom compared to the size of the structures of the orchid, it just blows my mind. What a wonderful sight and addition to the blooming alley for a short while. Going from a great fragrance to one that is not to my liking at all, we are shifting from a delightful rose fragrance to one that resembles a cat litter box, which needs to be refreshed. I kid you not. Personally, I do like cats, but I am glad that I do not have the litter box to contend with because yikes, the fragrance is just ammonia, which needed to be masked by some room freshener, and the room freshener lost the battle. That is how I can describe the fragrance of this Guarechea Black Comet. You can see my orchid struggled through the cold, dark winters, and that is why you see the leaf tips so damaged. The leaves were fine heading into winter of 24-25, but then the cold got to them, and without sufficient light to counteract the stress, unfortunately the leaves suffered. Just imagine fighting for an orchid's leaf tips through a time of year with super low humidity and hot wind, succeeding in that endeavor only to have the winter conditions do exactly what you were trying so hard to avoid happening during the summer. That happened. Anyway, next up for this orchid is a repot because the lip of her pot is broken. Let's see if I divide her because she is such a vigorous grower. And that's for another video. But it would be awesome if you would be around for when the repot or dividing video airs, so please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and if you don't mind, a thumbs up for the amazing blooming of my Cattleya zip in this video. That would be greatly appreciated, as well as would you sharing the video. You see, I really need more eyeballs on my channel, and any help from you is so appreciated. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, my Cattleya zip is back in bloom after not blooming for 2 years, I believe. So what changed from the time she bloomed for the first time to then not blooming and now back in bloom? Well, I have my thoughts. So in the past years, I would carry this orchid in and out during the winter months so that she can get the direct winter sun during the day and the warmer conditions indoors at night. She bloomed for the first time after the years of seedling to juvenile were successfully dealt with, but then she was repotted, and I strongly believe that this orchid, having a Cattleya milleri in her parentage, makes her a little more on the diva side when it comes to needing a root system to recover post-repot and prior to blooming again. Her other parent, the Cattleya tenebrosa, is also not the most generous of root growers. So it wasn't the lack of light, but in my opinion, it was the repot that caused her to skip regular blooming. This past winter was the first time I had her outside all winter, and trust, the months were more overcast than sunny. So if it was because of a lack of light in the previous years, then she would not have bloomed for us this time around either. But either way, I hope that you are enjoying what you're seeing. I certainly had a great time having her in bloom, taking the pictures, the editing, etc. Just so happy that this orchid is doing well, especially surviving the last winter. And, well, before we move on, she is not fragrant. Neither is my Dendrobium Soroa, which is starting to bud up. This orchid is growing much better, but I am possibly going to not have an abundant blooming because I'm misting the leaves of this orchid in order to avoid thrips from taking the leaves out. Water on the buds of this orchid and also on the blooms, it damages them. My focus is no thrips, and if some blooms make it, great. If not, then this orchid's healthier comeback is more important. This was a wonderful sight in the corner of the blooming alley. Cattleya lobata was getting ready to be a first-time bloomer. I was beyond excited because she came from a dubious order back in September of 2018. But video. And there's another sensation on the patio. Yes, there is. But we're now on the east side of the patio for this one because my once suspected pygmy Encyclia africana, while not the largest of all my Encyclias when it comes to the size of the canes, she certainly needs her own zip code when in bloom. The spikes are insane long. I love this so. Fast forward, well, you can see for yourself. This is so satisfying. She has the classic dusty fragrance of an Encyclia africana. While my others have a sweetness within the dusty note, this one has none of that. It is so similar to a Sologeny fragrance that if I had my eyes closed and I was supposed to guess the orchid, I would say Sologeny. Anyway, beast mode has been activated. This is not her first time bloom. That was last year, but it was on a single spike, which singed, so it could not fully develop. A single bloom, however, gave me an idea of what she looked like, and well, now we have the mother lode. I love it. I hope you enjoyed the blooms. We're back in the blooming alley now. Just to say thank you so very much for watching. Your support is more than appreciated. Thank you. Make sure that you stay fabulous. And while you're busy doing that, make sure that you have yourself a wonderful day. On the condition, though, please, that you stay safe. Take care. Bye.
Hi, everyone. I'm the plant propagator, and welcome to my channel. Today, I have, I think, 5 orchids that I want to share with you. New blooms. There are 4 what I call new blooms that have plants that have bloomed for me in the past, and I have 1 first bloom, and that's a plant that has not yet bloomed for me, and I'd like to share all of those with you today. Let's get started on this one. I got 3 here, and yeah, 2 behind me, and let's get started with this one right here. So this one is a little special to me, and this is Guaracatonia gopica. And this is special because this was named by Gopica's mom about a little less than a year ago. So this was named by a YouTube viewer to my channel. And about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, I had a naming contest, and I treated it like a lottery. So I put everyone's name in a hat, pulled the winner out, and this ended up being named according to the Royal Horticultural Society, Gopika. This has been been blooming for me for many years. I actually didn't generate this hybrid, but I contacted the hybridizer and asked her whether I could name this orchid. She says it's been around a long time. She's surprised it hadn't been named, but it hadn't. And they've been selling it there, but they just never bothered naming it. So this is a Portia times Why Not? And this plant has, again, it's been blooming for me pretty consistently over the past few years. It grows up, you divide it, it grows up a little bit more. And, nice small blooms. It's not something that I've used in my breeding, but it's a nice, delicate bloom, small plant, but a good, another bloom coming out. Just saw that. So it's got these blooms right here. So this is a bloom spike that has 5 buds on it, 3 of which that are open. And then there's another one coming out here. It just looks like it's a single bloom. And I don't know if there's any more, but as I look down at the base of this plant, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new pseudobulbs growing out of this. So a really vigorous plant, seems to do well. Oh my gosh. And it's doing well this time of the year because it's a little warm. It is 90 degrees right now, Fahrenheit, which is 32 degrees Celsius. I'm waiting for the rain to come through. It hasn't come through yet today, but today in and this is the time of the year, mid-June, Southwest Florida, every afternoon, the clouds come in and we get rain. So my irrigation is turned off. These guys get watered every day. It's hot, it's humid. The orchids just love it. And Gopika is no exception. The one thing is, Gopika's mom, if you're watching, this thing's growing like crazy. And at one point, I promised you a division of this plant. So if you want to reach out to me now, or actually after this is done blooming, would be a pretty good time to send you a division of this plant. So it's growing really well. It's nice, no fragrance, nice small delicate blooms, and it's a good, reliable, consistent bloomer for me in my collection. Okay, so this is Guarcatonia Gopika. Moving on a little bit, we're going to move over to here, and over here on this side of the table is this is BLC is what it says on the label, but I don't think the BLC genus is used anymore. But this is Waianae Leopard Ching Hua. And this, again, is another consistent bloomer for me. I should mention that I got this plant from a colleague when he couldn't take care of his large collection anymore and he sold some plants. And this is one of the plants that I picked up from him. It's in a small pot, looks like it's about a 5-inch ceramic pot, clay pot. It's been growing well again through the years. This year, though, it seems to be doing really well. So it's got right now 1 blue spike on it. There are 4 open flowers on this. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that have not opened yet. So this is going to have 13 flowers open on it. If the first one lasts, by the time the last one opens, it's going to have 13 open flowers on it. So this is a really nice, really nice plant. It seems a little bit lopsided, and the reality of it is that it is lopsided. There was a comparable flower spike coming out over on this side of the plant like this. Perfect balance, would have been good. I had this, these are hung, and so I had this under one of my other plants, the Cattleya ludomaniana, which apparently was a little jealous of this plant, fell over here and again, something like this on this side, just knocked it off about a week and a half ago. And it's a, it's a real disappointment, but you know, these kind of things happen. This flower, I should say, is just, it's glorious. It's really nice. So this is, it's Waianae Leopard, which is, if you might imagine, it's got a lot of nice spots on this. So it's a nice spotted cattleya. It's in the, in the petals and sepals. I went to an orchid meeting last night, and there was another Waianae Leopard, but a different cultivar that had even more spots on it. But it has really nice, it's green almost, it's pretty much green, almost yellow petals and sepals with some purple coloration in it, and again, the dark spots. The throat on this is yellow, and the lip is purple. It is a really nice, nicely presenting fragrant flower. So this is one of those that I really love. The fragrance on this is one of those cattleyas that kind of has an earthy, sweet fragrance. And that's one of the fragrances that I really like in cattleyas. So, small pot, I'm gonna have to put this in a bigger pot. This, I should mention, is in the same potting mix that it was in when I got it from the person that sold this to me, I think probably 4 years ago. So not a really fast-growing plant, but still a good, consistent bloomer. It's in lava stone in a small pot, and it's probably going to be time. It's coming over the edge of the pot, and I think it's going to be time to repot this. But a real nice, active, grower, a little bit taller than I like, and I would imagine once I put this in a bigger pot, it's going to grow like crazy, and I get a little bit out of hand, but that's what these guys do. Okay, so Waianae Leopard Ching Hua. In the middle here, and I got to watch it to see that this doesn't fall over, but in the middle here, I have another leopard. So this is Hawaiian leopard right here, and this has bloomed for me a couple of times, and it's very similar looking flower, but not the same. And again, another leopard. So this is Hawaiian leopard Mei Ling. Again, nice spots on the petals and sepals. Also the lip, same thing, a purple lip with a lot more spotting involved. The flowers on this plant, this is the second time this plant has bloomed for me. I'm not sure really where I picked this plant up, to be honest with you. But the interesting thing about Hawaiian leopard Mei Ling is that it's a progeny plant. One of the parents is Waianae Leopard Ching Hua. I don't know if it was Ching Hua, but Waianae Leopard is a parent of Hawaiian leopard. So there's a lot of leopards going on here, as you might imagine. Again, very similar looking flower. I actually like the Waianae leopard flower a lot more than the Hawaiian leopard flower. The flower they're spread out a little bit more, which is nice. They're a little bit bigger, but the petals and sepals are a little thinner. I'm not getting any fragrance out of the Hawaiian leopard, which is a shame. But it might be a little bit of a younger plant. They're both in the same size pots. The flower spike is a little bit higher on here. But I should also mention that that Waianae leopard lives on the fence behind you, and then Hawaiian leopard lives up in my pergola. So a little bit of different growing conditions, which may explain how these things look, why they look maybe a little bit different. But still, both are nice plants. I'm happy with them. I'm not sure if I'm going to be using them in my cross. I'm probably going to be using the Waianae leopard in some of my crossing. I love that it has so many flowers on this bloom spike. And again, it might happen here. The flowers here, I should mention that when the Hawaiian leopard opened up, some of the sepals got stuck behind some of the other flower parts, and I had to kind of straighten them out. And that's something that's undesirable. Both of these plants are cloned. So they both are cultivars, and they're cloned. And so so you don't know if any of this kind of, pseudo distortion or not having the flower perfect are a result of the cloning process. I don't really know for sure, but we'll see what happens, and we'll see what the rest of the flowers look like on this plant. Okay, two more that I got to share with you. Again, repeat bloomers. And as I pull this down, you know, the interesting thing, as I pull this down, this one I should say, this is Star Ruby, and then the cultivar is the cultivar is Xanadu. So this is growing up in the pergola behind me, kind of hard to get to. So I saw the flowers here, and these are, as you might imagine from the shape of the flowers here, and the flowers are, they're star-shaped, which means it's a Brassavola nodosa hybrid, but it's got some, you know, some purplish petals and sepals, purple lip, star-shaped flower, fairly small, numerous flowers on this plant. And I almost lost this plant a few years ago, and I pulled it out, cleaned it up, put it back in a lighter potting mix. I think I might have had it in a heavier potting mix that was supplied by the grower. And the grower on this, I should say, is Palmer Orchids. And I think I picked this plant up at my Society Bingo event that's coming up next month locally. Everyone's excited about Orchid Bingo. Instead of, you know, winning the orchid is the prize when you play Orchid Bingo. You know, you wish you could spell orchid, but you still spell bingo anyway. So, but this is a plant that I almost lost. It actually hasn't bloomed for me in a couple of years, but this year I see there's this nice bloom spike here that has 2 buds on it. I saw when this was hanging up in my it's up high in the pergola, so it's kind of hard to get to. I saw that there's another flower spike coming out down here, but just as I was pulling this off from where I put it, I noticed that there's a third flower spike with 3 flowers that'll probably be open within a week. There's another sheath here. Nope, doesn't feel like there's anything in there. But this is the Star Ruby Xanadu. It's a pretty common plant, I think, that you can actually buy these. I've heard that you can pick these up at Home Depot locally. So it's a really nice plant, very vigorous, a nodosa hybrid, and it seems to be doing well here. So again, Star Ruby Xanadu, doing quite well. All right, so that again is repeat bloomer. And let me pull down first bloom, which means smaller plant, and that is right here. All right, and this is where this plant lives. And this I'm excited about, kind of. This is a Cattleya species, so this is Cattleya eclandii. On the label, what it says is 4N times Midnight Beauty. So I don't know if this is a tetraploid. I'm not sure what this is, if this is a clone or whether it's seed derived, but and these just opened up yesterday. So it may be that the flowers are going to open up just a little bit more. I don't know. You know, if you wanted to watch my video today and see spots, you hit the jackpot, because spots. The eclandii has so many spots on this, and you see this, that they're almost continuous. And so what happens with these things, if it has so much of them, the petals almost look dark, really dark purple. The lip on this, the lip spreads, and you have, wow, the lip is really tight up in there. This is going to be fun to cross, and yes, I am planning on crossing this. This has so many spots to the point that even in addition to the intense spotting on the petals and sepals, you also have spotting on the leaves of this, have spotted leaves, but the eclandii has spotted leaves. And sometimes you can see that, and it's an indicator that the plant is going to be spotted. But this is a pretty small plant. I picked this up, I think maybe 9 months ago from Sundance Orchids and Bromeliads in Fort Myers. I've gotten a lot of good plants from them, and this is again one of those plants. It has grown to the edge of the pot, and now it's starting to grow over. This is a species, not an exceptional grower, but this plant seems to be doing really well. If this is 4N, that means if it's a tetraploid, I may have some problems crossing it with some of the other plants that I'm planning on crossing onto this, but we'll try it and see what happens. That's part of the fun of this. So, nice bloom, intense, lots of spots on this thing. I'm getting some fragrance, yay. So, and it's supposed to be fragrant, but this is a really nice the flower is really thick and waxy, which may again indicate that this is a tetraploid. But we'll see how long the flower lasts. We'll see what the flower looks like after a few days. Again, this just opened yesterday, so I'm not sure what this is gonna, how long this is gonna last, or what it's gonna do when it's the first time bloom on this plant. But again, a small plant, good vigorous grower. I'm gonna use it in crossing probably right away, even with the first bloom, which is not what you're supposed to do, but I'm so excited about it. I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay, there's a bee, get away. I don't want the bee to make the cross. All right, so that's my Cattleya eclandii right here, and I'm gonna put it back up where it lives and get to it later. Okay, so I'm excited because the weather here, this is like perfect orchid growing weather today. This is really, and this is what we're dealing with during the rainy season in Southwest Florida. So this is just a great time to be here and growing orchids. They're doing well. I'm sharing these with you. I've got some other ones. I got a first bloom back in here, a couple, actually, one there, one up there. Probably one of my next videos I'll be able to share with you is the first blooms on these plants. I got lots of stuff going on. My seedlings, oh my gosh, they're all growing so well. And I've got some blooms on seedlings that I want to share with you also. All right, so it's an exciting time. Go Pika's mom, if you're out there, contact me. We'll exchange. I need your address so I can send you a division of this plant. We'll go from there. All right, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, that's all I have for you today. Again, I hope you enjoyed it, and happy propagating.
Well, good afternoon and welcome once again to Ed's Orchids. This is just a short video of a run round with what's happening at Sheila's greenhouse. No use going around mine anymore because I haven't had a spike for 12 months.
12 months? Ed, you're the man. 12 months? Ed. That's a big time news break. More so than Miss Orchid girl showing her face. Ed, where's those big old angraecums? Where's my angraecums? Yours bloomed faithfully. Well, anyway, maybe that's in the past, but you still have the frags and the paths. And believe it or not, when people ask me about any of those aforementioned genuses, you're the best at all of them. Angraecums, paths, and frags.
So once you see me putting up Ed's Orchids, you'll know that flowering has begun. But this is a Fias colossus. Used to be a large plant. It's gone a little bit smaller, but you can see it's got plenty and plenty of new growth coming up. Whoops. One down there. Plenty at the back here of the old suitables. They're all coming up. That's Fias colossus. Now it's going to be nice again. See, nice new growth coming up there as well. No going around mine anymore because I haven't had a spike for 12 months. This one is Bulbophyllum frosty eye. This is growing very well. Plenty of new growth on it. Plenty of bulbs. I can't see any sign of flowering now, but there again my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. But it's in very good health, that plant. Another one here is a Rhynchostylis celestis. It's supposed to be a blue one. Plenty of live roots on it, showing plenty of growth. The roots coming up at the back there. Lovely. That should be beautiful when it flowers. This is one she was having trouble with, a Dendrobium prinulinum, and she repotted it, and it's got some fabulous new growth on it now.
Looks mounted.
Don't know how many there are new growths, but I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 new growths on it, all about 2 or 3 inches tall. So that's going to be a nice plant. Now this is doing a lot of growing. Epidendrum medusa, that's what it is. Look at all the new growth on it.
Wish I could grow that one. Way too warm here.
Beautiful flowers on this one, it does flower. Very large.
Yes.
Can't tell you much about them because I don't bother with these varieties at all. But that is Epidendrum medusa. This is another of those leafless Chister osmoides. Got some beautiful little flowers on. Nice piece of fern growing out of this one as well. Oh, look at it.
Beautiful fern.
With the plant just there. This is a nice plant. Prostechia green hornet. Growing beautiful. Just opening up now, nice thick spike coming out. Some beautiful flowers on the end of it. Gorgeous, and they smell absolutely delicious, these.
Yes, I am so
The
jealous.
perfume on them is unbelievable.
That I lost. It's so funny. I need my green ones, sorry. Oops. But I love that plant and I'm looking for it.
Oh, Prostechia green hornet. Another one blooming here and coming into
Garcia.
lots and lots of spikes on them. Some more there, some more there.
Nice.
And this is a Prostechia, Prostechia Garcia. Looks like it's ready for a repot because it's all growing over the back of the pot there, but and not much at the front here. Let's turn it round and have a look. Yeah, all the new growth coming up too. Absolutely oodles of it. So when that's in full bloom, that'll look very nice. Prostechia Garcia. I've never seen this one before, Dendrobium Jehaho Delight. One bloom on it, that's all. There's the plant. I do apologise, we found another one here, and it's, I'll not read it out here.
Scaphocephalum. Verrucosum.
compact little plant. Plenty and plenty of spikes on it. You can see them all there wafting away. Tiny little flowers on them. I'll show you the name again if I can find it all. Here we are. Yep. So that definitely is the last one. Well, here are a few of the cactus. You know, you can see how they produce new growths on them, but let's hope it's in the next coming days. So thank you very much for watching, and until we meet again, I say goodbye and see you later. Bye.
Conservatory, unfortunately, are biting fire ants. So when I knock off a pot from a plant and they all run out and start biting me, I'm like, So my name is Cole Geisler.
Yeah.
I am the tropical horticulturist here. So I take care of all the tropical plants in the conservatory. Orchids are my favorite. So I'm very lucky that we have a really good orchid collection.
Everyone
here.
has that little wry smile orchid.
Yeah, orchids.
That's
Well, I used to not be an orchid grower. I used to really not care too much about orchids because I really only knew them as the grocery store Phalaenopsis.
Right.
And then I discovered my favorite genus is Encyclia.
Oh, nice.
Just have these really spherical pseudobulbs and really nice long strappy leaves. So I like those clean lines. And so when I found the different growth forms from a vegetative perspective, I was like, I can get into this. And then I got into it and I was like, oh, I'm in it.
Right. Now, did you go to school here or?
I did not.
Okay.
I went to school in Pennsylvania.
Oh, where?
Muhlenberg College.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
it's in Lehigh County.
Yep.
And then I was an intern at Longwood.
Yeah.
So,
that's great. Did
yeah.
you do their whole intern program?
Yes.
Okay, that's
so
great.
I was there for a year. I was the conservation horticulture and collections intern. So I worked with Dr. Petersdale, Tony Aiello, and I did work with their trialing new collections, their native orchid conservation.
Great.
And then I also did a lot of work with Greg, just kind of learning from him in his orchid collection. We just have a lot of plants in here. Sometimes I've been downsizing the specimen size plants just because I always like having more orchids. So sometimes I like growing plants to specimen size or keeping them as specimen size so we get a good display. So this is a Dendrochilum cabianum. You can see it's at the end of its growing season.
Yeah.
I haven't trimmed off the inflorescences yet, but this
Do you need to though?
for this
Or is
one
it
I
just for
do.
Kempt?
It's just to make it look prettier.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
you care about the display as well.
Having the place look a bit clean. And kind of kept. So
that's good. You're looking.
yeah,
I respect that.
Yeah, I'm a bit behind on trimming off some of the dead inflorescences.
Yeah.
And some of them look like they're dead, but they're actually not because they're sequential bloomers. And then some of these, this bloomed last week, so I was gone for most of last week, so I didn't get a time to replace it.
Now, you mentioned that you're cycling out of some of your hybrids and
Yes.
focusing on some species that you're starting to bring in. Are there any particular species or regions that you're concentrating on, or is it just kind of across the board?
It's kind of a big spread. I kind of organize things here taxonomically. I've been here almost 2 years now. One of the first things I did was reorganize the orchid greenhouse, just for ease of culture, but also kind of grouping things as they're related to each other.
Right.
I kind of wanted to
Must be regrouping all the time then.
a little bit here and there, yeah.
There's always some new shifting.
There are definitely tweaks going, especially as I'm getting more familiar with the growing space. The seasons are very interesting in this room just because winter, it gets very cold and dark in here.
Oh.
We have a 5-story, 6-story building next to us.
Yeah, I see that.
And the sun, as soon as it hits, in the winter, as soon as it hits 1 o'clock, we lose all sun in this room. So it's a bit of a rough time, but once the summer comes, I'm like, okay, things are going to start perking up, things are going to be growing. So over here we have most of the maxillarias. That's variabilis, so that's a fun one. We have the dark form of it.
I think we've seen this when we were in Costa Rica, maybe, or maybe, I don't know, if they have collections, so it's not always out in the wild. They have collections of orchids, and I think I was introduced to that one out there.
But this one is, it's a South American plant, so it goes down to all the way to Venezuela from Mexico. Yeah, so a lot of these are really fun. They have these nice strappy foliage.
I love the strappy foliage,
Yeah.
the grassy leaved,
Yes. I mean, of course, there's the ever famous Maxillaria tendifolia, so the coconut orchid.
Yeah, so
this is our
that's
giant
coconuts.
one. And actually, I just grow it basically mounted now because this is.
It's in such a small little
exactly.
pot.
So I don't even treat it as a potted plant anymore. I just
Yeah.
treat it as a mounted plant.
Yeah.
Just because Yeah, so this thing gets a very heavy drink every day. So there are a lot of plants that like look like they're potted, but at this point the media has broken down, and I'm working on like either refreshing them or transferring them to like a new growth media.
Right.
So like this is Brassinorchis junkiana. This is the one of the black orchids. So this is a maxillaria relative, but you can actually see it's also, there's some weeds in there, but it's also again in a tiny pot.
My goodness.
So I just treat it as a mounted plant because pretty much this is all roots in this pot at this point.
Are you immersing them in water, or you have like top?
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Everything is hand watered here, and I top water everything.
Okay.
It's a lot easier that way. I can kind of control what I'm doing. For some of the things that are like really root bound like that, thankfully I can just like put the breaker right over it.
Are you using like an RO water, or is it just like well water? Or
yeah, it's
what?
the campus water.
Campus water. Okay, so there's nothing special about it other than.
I know. There's supposedly one of the taps in the corner over there is RO water. I'm not really sure, but it's unfortunate because campus water is a bit harsh.
Yeah.
So I do have to. You can see that we get some like tip burn on a lot of stuff. And I have to do like a lot of leaching every so often just to make sure, because we also fertilize pretty heavily. And with that, then the salt accumulation happens, which is why I've been like kind of changing out a lot of the media lately, because some of it hasn't been changed in a while, and I just want to give them kind of a fresh start. Over here is mostly Sologeny Alliance, so that's Dendrochilum, Sologenes. This is one of my favorite groups of orchids.
Why is that?
They have a sort of elegance to them, I find. I do really love a long cascading chain of flowers. So like something like the Dendrochilum Wenzellia, it's not necessarily a long cascading chain, it's only about this long, it's red flowers, they're gorgeous. But I also like really love that clean, grassy foliage.
Right.
So you'll start to notice a trend.
That's not the red wheat.
It is.
Is that
it
one?
is.
Okay,
yeah.
I think I have this one at home, and I liked it just because the flower looks so unusual.
Right.
But I just thought it was really unique.
That longwood was a clone called Jeff's Red Wheat.
Okay.
And I looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, that's like the name is perfect.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely perfect. And the thing is, like, how the Cattleyas and everything were like in vogue, back in the Victorian era and stuff like that. But for me, I kind of like the understated flowers sometimes.
I don't like Cattleyas. Mainly because Cattleyas, a lot of them get really big. I mean, I do really like, now it's Cattleya, but they were Sophornitis, the smaller species. I really love those because they're small, compact, they're not as frilly. But the big hybrid Cattleyas, they have their story, they have their place in history, and like the history and importance of breeding. But in my opinion, they're not my favorites. Also, I don't grow any of the Cattleyas at home just because I have a limited amount of space, so I grow the smaller things so that I can put more in there.
Right.
But it's also kind of hard to grow the Cattleyas in this greenhouse because they do like a bit more sun. So like the Phragmopediums, they like more sun to bloom, but I can keep them alive in lower light.
It goes to show you that like sometimes the confines of your greenhouse will define what orchids you need to concentrate on, as opposed to like really trying to push the envelope in a place that maybe isn't adequate for them.
And there are ways that we can kind of adjust that. So I did that by like kind of changing the layout of the plants in the greenhouse. But in general, I have to look at the growing space that we have. So when I was doing this order, actually, I was kind of like working with the grower and kind of being like, okay, what will work best in our space?
Right.
I wanted to bring in more of the slipper orchids, but we also wanted to bring Cattleyas back in.
Now, are you using this for research or just display or teaching? What's the whole purpose of like these collections?
Yeah, so the UCONN Botanical Conservatory is focusing mainly on education, research, and outreach, kind of in that order. We use these collections mostly as a teaching collection. So we're part of the Ecology and Evolutionary Biology department. So we have undergraduates, graduates who do their courses with the plants in here. A lot of these plants are used for teaching about adaptations, interesting morphologies.
Now this may get a little off topic because we're talking a lot about like neotropical and tropical orchids, but do you focus on any of the native orchids being at a university?
So we have a couple, I think, in Matt's greenhouse, because he takes care of the center greenhouse, and that's more of our collection needs to be colder in the winter.
Yeah.
Both my greenhouses stay like really, really warm.
Yeah, okay.
But we have like Goodyear pubescens, which is the downy rattlesnake plantain. But in general, the native orchids can be a bit difficult to cultivate.
Okay.
Just because, at least in a greenhouse, they need kind of that like cool period, which is, sometimes can be a bit difficult.
Yeah.
And also they have a bit more interesting symbiotic relationships with the endomycorrhizal fungi.
Yeah, and the Goodyear pubescens, it's more, kind of reminds me a little bit of like a jewel orchid, right?
They are actually in the same group.
Yeah.
So actually, we'll show you the Ludicea later.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Goodyeara is in the same group as like the Macotes, the lightning bolt one.
Yeah.
The
looks very similar.
yeah, they're all kind of considered jewel orchids, but that one is a temperate native.
Right, and terrestrial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, those like the deep understory. Oh, there's a little fun
Oh
present
yeah, look
for
at
you.
that.
So this is Bulbophyllum lepidum. So it's it's called the Venus fan, as
That's
you can see.
a great color.
Yeah.
It's kind of
I
got
love
this
it.
champagne pink
Yeah,
color.
and then you can see there's like a little
Yep.
mobile lip in the center.
Yeah,
that
and
kind
it's
of
like,
wiggles
come here,
around.
come
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Come
and so
pollinate.
yeah, exactly. That's what it's for. It's
Yeah.
it's a pollination mechanism. It either rocks the insect back.
Kind of reminds me of like a little cha-cha skirt.
Yeah, it's like a little your little beat like a
little
coin
hula,
skirt.
yeah.
Yeah, like a little coin skirt.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot. So there's more of them over here. They're kind of
yeah.
They actually start off really tiny, small, like look like little chandeliers.
Oh, unbelievable.
And then they like bulk up a little bit.
Yeah,
and they
here's
just kind
another
of
example.
Open up and unfold.
They almost look like an echinacea pointed down when an echinacea plant is just starting to bloom.
Yeah, it does kind of look like that.
But then
before the petals kind of flap up. They don't last super long. There are some bulbophyllums that in general can last a bit longer, but bulbophyllums tend to be a bit more short-lived in their flowering. But they're good. This one is really nice because it just keeps on pushing them out like throughout the season. So there's a bunch of them. They just keep on pushing out the flowers. Very cute one. This is Acyanthera cassapensis. It seems to always be in flower.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And it just
So
keeps on pushing.
tiny.
Yeah, even the really old growth, you can see it has some like speckling from the whitewash from past years. But it'll just keep on pumping out flowers, and they'll just say like really small, very cute, but the color is very, very fun, like a burnt orange.
Now, when we were throughout Costa Rica, there was a lot of like Stellas, and they're so tiny, so small. And I don't know the species, how they get, like some of them were like this big, you know, like the leaf and everything. And I was like, oh my goodness, I mean, you'd need a magnifying lens to see everything.
A lot of I think the smallest orchid species is a Pleurothallus. I can't remember. I think the new record for the smallest orchid species is in the Pleurothallus Alliance. But yeah, they tend to be a lot smaller. A lot of them are from like cloud forest regions. And you can tell they're usually bathed in constant moisture because they don't have those like really thick pseudobulbs.
Right.
And their roots are even like really thin. So they need like that constant moisture, and the cloud forests tend to be a lot cooler, bathed in like that high humidity.
That's where we were, you know, primarily in the cloud forests. So.
Yeah, there's actually a really small species. I'm going to actually grab it and I'll show you. Probably the smallest species that we have in the collection is Speclinia grobii. It's another Pleurothallus relative, but it's just a little tiny baby.
Yeah.
And this one's actually a bit larger than our other smaller one that's struggling a bit. It just kind of creeps along and forms like a nice little mat.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the Pleurothallus are like really small. But actually behind us, our nice backdrop, this is our Stanhopea collection. And so some of them are doing really well, some of them are still struggling a bit, but like some of them are, oh no. Okay, so this is an example of like plants will do what they want. This actually had 2 spikes on it when I left last week.
Yeah.
And it looks like it aborted this one, but this one is still nice and chunky.
Now, Stanhopea is the one, there's one that smells like vanilla, right?
Yeah, to me they all smell like most of them smell like vanilla and mint.
Oh, that's
yeah, or like chocolate mint together.
Yeah, chocolate mint.
So this is Costa Ricensis, as the name implies, it's from Costa Rica. So I love when scientific names make sense.
Yeah, I know. Many people do.
Yeah, it just makes things a lot easier when people are like, oh, where's that from? It's like Costa Rica. So we have Costa Ricensis in bud, and then there's Oculata up here, which is the eye spot, hence the name Oculata, ocular. And so there's a nice spike coming out right here. This is like one of our more robust species of Stanhopea. I have like a couple of massive ones, and they love life. And so I'm fine with having a bunch of larger Stanhopeas just because they tend to be a bit happier that way. This is Acidensis. So this is actually a natural hybrid between Tigrina and Wardii. So this is Tigrina, and then Wardii is right here.
Oh, interesting.
And so this will be fun to see. I haven't gotten this one to flower since I've been here, so it'll be fun to see.
So this is a natural hybrid from the wild, or a natural hybrid from in here?
Natural hybrid from the wild. So a lot of times you'll see with plants, hybrids will be given like a cross, and then they'll have the name. So in this case, it's Tigrina by Wardii, which that's a different accession, but usually when a hybrid is given an actual name, so this one has Acidensis, that means it's a naturally occurring hybrid.
Back in the day, they used to like come up with a whole other genus or whatever, and it was always very confusing.
Yeah,
very confusing.
Those usually, at least for orchids, the notogenous happens when you hybridize a bunch of different genera together. So Fred Clarkiera of SVO Fred Clark fame, is a Cattesandra alliance kind of conglomerate of a couple of different genera. And instead of having a very long strung out name, with like some of the Cattleya alliance, there's like Rhyncholeocattleya.
Yeah.
But when you get too many genera together, then you'll have like a name that's like
huge.
Yeah, you'll have like a fifth. You'll have like
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Exactly. So at that point, they tend to kind of give them like a fake genus name, which usually will go with whoever like made the hybrid. So Fred Clarkiera was made by Fred Clark.
Cool.
But the natural hybrids are fun because like it tells us a bit about their pollinators.
Right.
They might have the same insect pollinator because a lot of orchids tend to have like the very species specific pollinators. When you look at a lot of like, if you look at like the Darwin orchid, it's only pollinated by one thing.
Right. Or you'd probably see where they fit like together on the family tree too.
Right.
You know?
They might be really closely related to the natural hybrid, and that's the whole thing about.
When did they bifurcate?
Exactly.
And become their own species at some point.
And then so that's the whole big debate in taxonomy too. Is like what makes a species a species? Because for all intents and purposes, a species is something that humans just slapped a name on.
Yeah.
In the wild, they can be considered different plants. Plants are weird because they don't follow the biological species definition, which is where something is separate, two separate species, when they can't breed or if their offspring is sterile. So if you look at the mule,
right, or like sometimes the two genera, like you know, the Gasteria and an aloe,
right?
Like a lot of times they produce like sterile offspring,
right?
But they're completely two different species altogether.
But for plants, it's weird because they really don't follow that same rule. You can hybridize them. You can get fertile seedlings that can then be used for hybridizing, and they can be used, so they don't really fit the same definition of a species because they can do this hybridization, and that can kind of cause some problems with like saying, is it a different species or is it the same one? Is it a variety of the species, or is it just completely something else different that they're just closely related?
Right.
Yeah. See, they have lots of weeds in there, and the best time to weed an orchid is when you're repotting it.
Do you really need to weed though? Is it taking that much energy away from or do you just like to keep it more kempt?
I just like to keep it more kempt, especially since most of the weeds that we have are the pseudoranthemum and this oxalis, and they throw their seeds across the room.
Okay, I see.
So I'll see if there's a good example.
Messy seeders. You're going down the rabbit hole.
So this is a Silogeny aspera, and this is a very big plant. You can see how big the pseudobulbs are, and so I just have this over here because it's hanging, and I don't like having hanging pots over the benches. Yeah. Because the hanging plants tend to need to be watered more frequently, and then when they're over the bench, that means anything under them gets watered more frequently. So then you can have a lot of issues with rot. So I brought this over here, and it's been loving life. It's putting up a lot of new growth back here, but you can actually see the new growth has old flower spikes. So the Silogeny alliance is fun because most of them, not all of them, but most of them will flower from immature growth. And then once they're done flowering, then they'll kind of hit the play button and go back to the regular growth, which is always just kind of a fun kind of timeline. This is our Vanda tricolor suavis. This is our singular Vanda species.
I was going to say, this is the first Vanda I've seen.
Yeah, so we have other Vandaceous species, but this is our only species. And this had a gangbuster year last year.
Really? So
it would
flowering
not
like
stop
crazy.
flowering.
What color is this flower?
White with purple speckles and a deep purple lip.
Ooh.
And it smells really, really good. But you can see all of these little crispy, dried out flower stalks.
Yeah.
All of those are from last year.
Wow.
It had I think at one point I counted 15 at once.
Now, do orchids sometimes have like an off year where they're like, I'm done?
They do. A lot of times after it takes a lot of energy for them to do like a really big showy year, and they'll take a rest for a couple of years after that. And they might put up a couple flowers here and there. So this probably won't do as much as it did last year.
Right on.
Which is because I'm like, oh no, do it again. But sometimes orchids need time to recover. So you'll see that with trees, they'll do a big flowering and big fruiting year.
Or a big fruiting year,
exactly.
like hickories.
Exactly. Or the oaks
trees.
will they'll do a mast year.
Yeah.
And orchids kind of sometimes follow the same cycle, not all of them, but I'm expecting the Sobralia here to focus a bit more on vegetative growth this year. Same thing with this Vanda, because they had a really, really good flowering year last year. These are actually, this is one of my other favorites
This
in here.
one's chunky.
Yeah, I love it. So
Yeah.
this is Angraecum distichum, so it's in the Vanda Alliance. You can actually see it's all budded up right now.
Yep.
And they have these gorgeous non-recuperant, so the flowers don't spin around.
Yeah.
And so on these, the lip is oriented upwards. They smell really good. They look like little kind of like crystalline gems. The entire thing will be covered in them, and I just like love that like growth habit.
Yeah, the
that
growth
form.
habit's great. It's fun.
But yeah. And then of course we have the species Phalaenopsis here. It's kind of done its flowering. So this is Lutamaniana, which when this flowers, the new flowers have like almost like a lemon cleaner scent.
Oh,
So like,
interesting.
yeah, it's like, there's definitely some citrus in there, but it's definitely like, not like a citrus that you would want to eat. It's
Yeah,
like a
pine solly.
kind of,
but
a bit.
citrus.
Yeah, and like what I was mentioning earlier, a lot of other orchids will be more cakey prone.
Yeah.
So Phalaenopsis tend to put out a lot of cakeys, especially on some of the species.
So can you just clip this and pot it up?
Yeah, so you kind of refined it and became a much stronger horticulturist.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think a lot of folks will resonate with that. So thank you so much.
Thank you so
I really
much.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
of course. Thank
Yeah.
you for coming.
Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Well, they say bad things always come in threes. So why have I got four then? In close succession. And one of them involved a lot of shouting. Seriously. The end of a bad day that was yesterday. But it started off, you've seen me on occasions, not very often, with my glass of wine. That is in what is something that is a bit precious to me. It is a very, very fine lead crystal, ultra fine thin glass. I had as a present, a set of 6. Many, many, many years ago. And as a consequence of an accident back in the week, we've gone from 4 to 3. So that's half of them are now gone. And that was just a silly thing, because I went to pour a glass of wine, and because I was doing something with my right hand, I picked the bottle up in my left hand, which was slightly damp, and it slipped. And the bottle not only spilt nearly a third of the bottle of wine, but broke the glass. And when you break glass, it's the clearing up that's the problem. You've got to make sure you've got every single piece. Now, luckily, it broke into mainly large pieces and didn't shatter. So we had that to contend with. 1. The next thing that went wrong is my glasses have got 2 little nose clips so that they're comfortable. Well, I lost one. It fell off, and I'm blowed if I could find where it went. So it's now really uncomfortable because it had a sharp piece where it fixes against my nose. So we had to, come on mate, we had to get the bus into Christchurch and go into the glasses place. Now, okay, a little silver lining, I suppose. Because I'd bought the glasses in that establishment, probably 4 years ago, they fixed them for free. So basically, with other stuff had already been done. So I'm just keeping my eye out for Mojo because he's out and he'll probably want to come in a minute. So we've now broken another glass, and I had to stop what I was doing to clear it all up, which meant the potatoes I was cooking to go in the curry got overcooked.
Did I miss something? Come on, Roger. Roger.
As I pulled it down like that, it swung round and knocked that glass off, which smashed. Right in the middle of cooking my curry, basically, because I got the knife down to cut the chicken up with. Other stuff had already been done. So I'm just keeping my eye out for Mojo because he's out and he'll probably want to come in a minute. So we've now broken another glass, and I had to stop what I was doing to clear it all up, which meant the potatoes I was cooking to go in the curry got overcooked. and were a little bit soggy instead of nice chunky pieces of potato. So that's 3. That should be enough, shouldn't it? No. I had to get up to go to the loo this morning, which is unusual. I don't normally have to get up. Well, I get up silly o'clock anyway, but, actually prior to that. And I thought, am I going to get back to sleep? We'll give it a go. Well, I did manage to get back to sleep. And for those of you who've ever had this, I was rudely awakened and reminded just how very, very painful calf muscle cramp is. And the trouble is, when you're asleep, you get it. Now, under normal circumstances, I can feel cramp coming on and stop it. What else do you get? You get project orchids. What else do you get? You get a tour around the area where I live. Countryside views. View around the old part of the town and the old historic buildings and stuff like that. What else do you get? A rather large variety of orchids that come into bloom off and on. What else do you get? Well, sort of the work involved with keeping a collection like this. So you get repotting, you get potting on, you get putting orchids on mounts, all that sort of stuff. What else do you get? We get a chat about the feed levels, watering frequencies, seasonal variations in care. You get all that sort of stuff. What else do you get? You get me having a go about things going wrong, So would you agree you get rather a lot of variety on this channel that you might not get on other channels? Now, some might say, well, I don't want variety, I just want to see pretty orchids. Well, there are probably some channels that just do pretty orchids. Not all channels do that. So I think I provide a good variety, a good assortment of things, mostly orchid related, and you get my sister channel with all the videos about the garden and the bonsai, which I sometimes incorporate. Listen to this. Do you know what the time is? It's just gone 7 o'clock in the morning. And that strange child is out on the trampoline wrestling with his full-size, life-size dummy, which I've got no problem with. Kids playing outside on a trampoline, it's outside, it's not staring at a screen, it's in the fresh air, it's got all sorts of things going for it. But why is he allowed to yell at the top of his voice? Why has the whole neighbourhood got to listen to it? It's as bad as a barking dog. And sometimes it can ruin my enjoyment if I've taken a coffee or a glass of wine to go and sit out in the sunshine with Mojo, perhaps sat on the bench next to me, and enjoy the butterflies and the bees, and then that starts up. I just come indoors. It's so obnoxious that I can't deal with it, so I just have to come in. And I shut this door behind me, I shut that door. I might sit down to watch a bit of tennis on the TV and I can still hear it. It's that loud. And it's 3 doors away. What must it be like for the other flats in that block? No consideration for others at all. Anyway, we digress. So what was I saying? That just like to take a moment to ask people to stop and reflect on what you get. Yeah? I'm hoping that you get more variety and possibly therefore more interest here than perhaps you do in some other places by becoming a member. Now you can join on YouTube. It's not the most efficient way of joining and helping me out, simply because YouTube take almost a third of your contribution. However, if you join on the Patreon site, they take far less. I think they take 12%, which is pretty good stuff. So you can become a member, and that gives you even more, because you then get member-only videos. Now, okay, you don't get many at the moment, but if my memberships start to do that, my work will follow.
Brian from Orchids by Brian, and today Cassidy and I are at Soroa Orchids in beautiful Homestead, Florida, and we're going to check it out, all the amazing things that they have in bloom. The property is amazing, and the flowers are even more incredible, so you're in for a treat. So without further ado, let's go check out the blooms and gardens here at Soroa Orchids. Now when you walk inside, you are going to see incredible orchids just blooming on the trees and the gardens that they have. And check this out, some of the phalaenopsis, dendrobiums, oncidiums. Of course, the phals right above us. Look at that. So nice. All right, let's see the property over here. Let's go. Continue on into. Oh, cool. Oh my gosh, look at the size of those orchids on this tree. Holy cow. Those are huge. When those are in bloom, I bet that looks incredible. You can see a monster dendrobium up there. Wow. For you all here today, I'm hoping that the music doesn't prevent us from showing the inside, but if it does, I'm going to record some voiceover, but let's hope for the best. Look at that beautiful flower. I think that might be a Mimi Palmer. That is beautiful. Really, really nice. There's even more Vanda flowers over here. And Soroa orchids, look at that. Oh my gosh, this is to have some Rincon stylus in it. Really, really great job. Now, here are some of those specimen-sized plants. This is, do you see that? Holy cow. Look at the flowers on this dendrobium. Man, oh man, this plant is humongous. $2,500 if you don't want to waste time growing. You want to buy the specimen right away. Come on down to Soroa here, May 2025. They still have some absolute monsters available right now. Another monster dendrobium. This is freaking huge. Wow. In full bloom again. Look at the size. That is wild. This one is $2,750. But oh my gosh, just to appreciate that a plant this size is available to add to your collection is just unheard of. Here's another wonderful Encyclia hybrid that they have here at Soroa. Beautiful flowers and even better fragrance. Tons and tons of spikes. Dozens of blooms on this guy. That is really nice, really pretty flower. Look at this. Wow. That is just amazing. You can't go wrong with something like this. I mean, when you come to Soroa, you are in for a treat. You are going to see some flowers that you've never seen this size, but it's going to blow your mind. These are some Cattleya wine knots, and of course they have some displays over here that you can check out the blooms. Oh my gosh, so nice, so nice. We're going to go over here and check out more of their phalaenopsis, standard phalaenopsis that are for sale, as well as some of their... But in Florida, these can grow to be monsters. And Soroa has several great examples of to become in the Florida heat. They definitely thrive. So we will highlight some of those. But you can see more epidendrums that they have at the foot of each bed. Including, they also have this beautiful plant here. It's a Encyclia hybrid, and the flowers are really pretty. Reminds me a little bit of Encyclia tampensis. It has that rusty yellow kind of color. And then they also have orchids that are mounted on wood planks as well. If you're looking for something to hang up in your orchid collection, here's some classic Brassavola hybrids with those thick pink lips. Obviously has Brassavola nodosa in its background, and they grow super well in warm climates. And their plants that they offered here at Soroa were definitely well established, good size. You can see they have like Vanda. Look at all the flowers. You can send up several blooms on one spike, which is exciting, especially when you can grow that plant to be an impressive size, and it will just bloom like crazy. Here's an Encycavola Soroa Summer Nights. Beautiful plant available at Soroa, one of their own hybrids, and it has dozens and dozens of blooms, really beautiful. Here's another flower that they had available, beautiful yellow flowers here. This is a Epicatlia Golden Sunburn, LC Gold Digger by Epidendrum rufum, and it is really pretty, but definitely the showstopper for me, and I know it's not the most spectacular bloom, is this guy right here.
Guys, it's Danny. Today we're gonna look at some orchid blooms. We haven't seen these in quite a while. I actually have been all over the place with my upload schedule. I have actually been a little bit busy, and the past couple of months or so I have been thinking about something. I wasn't sure if I was gonna do it, and this morning actually, I have decided I need to do it. I finally need to downsize my collection after 12 years of collecting orchids, because this room is just not big enough, to be fully honest. Yes, it can fit all of the orchids, but everybody's just so crammed into each other. It's making it hard for me to actually tell when I have a flower spike or when I have an issue, when I have a pest infestation, and so on and so forth. I just noticed so many of my orchids have flowers, but I missed them. They're already fading, or they're growing like contorted because I missed them. Not anymore. Not to mention, it takes a long time to bring water from downstairs, from my filters, upstairs, and so on. And you know what? I have enough Phalaenopsis. So let's start with that. I've actually decided to seriously cut back on purchasing orchids. I haven't made a whole international haul.
Sure. We've heard this all
a year and a half at this point. I didn't purchase anything or order anything last year or this year, so that's good. Simply because I just want to make sure that I collect the stuff that I really, really like. Since I'm so constrained with space now, I've become quite obsessed with the space that I have at my disposal. And also,
Danny, why?
local shopping.
Wasn't that
I
your
like
setup?
mini Phalaenopsis.
I remember years ago
Hey guys,
that was your
it's Danny.
setup.
As promised, today it is time to take a tour of the orchid room after the Grand Purge, which not such a big of a purge as maybe you might have expected. There's only one group that I downsized severely, and that's the mini Phalaenopsis. But trust me when I tell you, I still have a ton of orchids, more than any person should have. But hey, I make a living off of them, so I do have a lot of them, you guys, don't worry. But you will have to admit that the Phalaenopsis were getting a little bit out of hand. I had way too many for their well-being and my well-being, and I still have Phalaenopsis, don't you worry. You're gonna see them. They're everywhere. Many of the miniature Phalaenopsis that I bought locally and I was growing for a few years have been donated to various people.
advisory all this week. We've been in the low 90s to mid 90s, which is terrible. It's terrible. It's way too hot. Way too hot. We haven't been able to get in the pool, which with my neck, I still really haven't gotten in the pool anyways, but the stair was, the one stair was broke. Just a little bit so I can get in here. The second Cattesandra spike is opening. That's a separate plant even, so this one's a whole separate plant. So this is the Cattesandra. Isn't she just phenomenal, guys? She's absolutely just amazing. Absolutely amazing. For the blooms that opened on Encyclia tampensis semi-alba. Very nice. If I can get it to focus. Smells amazing. Like this is the first time I got to smell her, first time I got to see her, first time she bloomed, and it's amazing. Smells so great. Such a little cutie. She really is amazing. So glad I have that one. And
Hello and welcome to the Orchid Saga. My name is Ilke Wiersma, also known as EJ. Whoa, wait a minute. Yes, my blooming updates for the month of June. And I'm gonna start big this time. It's absolutely huge. So look at this vanda. Well, let's do a little close-up. First at the blooms. This is when they almost go over. They get this darker purple color in there. But when they are freshly open, there's more yellow in here. Let me see. Yeah, look at that. Absolutely beautiful bloom, but this is by far my biggest vanda. And what a spikes. Absolutely. All those cakeys don't up in that corner. And that is that one. Then we have my Encyclia tampensis variety alba, still in bloom. Some are going over, but yeah, it still gives quite a nice show. Look at that. Quite some flowers. And again, I love that yellow and white together. Beautiful. And down here, I will now put in a picture soon. This is my Cattleya. The name. Well, this yellow one. Losing some flowers, but some are still pretty, still very, very pretty. And I did found a name for this one. It's a bit long, and I take this, of course, on the other side of the pot. Let me see if I can get it out. I'm sorry, you guys, it's stuck. There we go. Don't move anymore. Here we go. Golden Mirth Fellini's gold to look forward in the future. Look at all those spikes. Yeah. And we have more spikes on these big ones down here. So, and meanwhile, I'm just checking if I didn't skip. Yes, I almost did. She has a few flowers left. This was in my updates for quite a while. Dendrobium, I don't know what it is today. Probably, no, I was very busy. But I don't want to keep saying that, you already know that. And it's okay to be busy, but my mind is a bit tired, so it takes me a while. But yeah, of course, the Nora Tokunaga Dendrobium. So sorry, I apologize for that, but it takes a while for me to remember the names. And sometimes, in most cases, I know, I need a little bit of help of the tags.
PNG.
But a very, very pretty flower. I love it. I absolutely do. Very long lasting. So again, for you guys out there on a search for long-lasting flowers.
That's
This is a
it.
must-have, absolutely must-have. And I love this little orange flower. Phalaenopsis Japan Cupid. Let's do it properly this time. That's the name for this beautiful orange flowering phal. Very nice. And can you believe it? My mini mark is next to it. It's starting a new flower spike here. So it did bloom with this one, and I had another one. I did cut off that one already, but it's decided that it's not done blooming for this season, and I'm not complaining, of course. So, yes, here we go again. Ticking. So far, yeah, you see, I knew it. I always forget something. Well, almost. We have this one. It is budding now. It had a flower on it, but this fell off. Yeah, it did fall off. So it's not technically not in flower, but this one is doing so well. It's a very pretty flower. It will be in my next update. And yes, there we go. Yeah, I think this is it, you guys. Well, at least in here. Of course, we have the Miltonia, so let's have a quick update on those as well, even though I did 2 weeks, but we have a new one.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, and I include myself as well because I have been gone for quite a while, and I'm sure you guys have been wondering, where have I been? Well, I've been on vacation, a long-awaited vacation. I've been wanting to go to Palm Springs, California for quite a while to visit my friend, and so I did. And I was there for about a week, and then I took a week off before that to do things here at the house, sort of a staycation. I also got on a little detox intermittent fasting program. As you guys can see, I've lost so much weight and I'm so happy. I couldn't go to Palm Springs to be in pools, you know, with the weight that I had gained. So it motivated me enough to do some cleanup to my body, to detox and to lose some weight, much needed. So it's been quite a ride the past, I would say, 2.5, 3 weeks. So I am back and I am so happy to be back. I miss you guys. I missed my channel. I missed everything, but I will be honest. I put the camera down and I relaxed it for a while. I really needed some me time. This time I didn't do anything in Palm Springs as a video, but I did take a lot of pictures. So if you guys are interested, in the very end of this video, I will do sort of like a photo journal. Some of you that know, I am a photographer by trade, and I did some really nice fine art. But I always leave them for last, and I don't know why I do that. But anyway, let's just admire this beauty from Moats. Now, I have been planting... they finally were able to get him the name, but it's a beautiful, beautiful dendrobium. It has great style and color. I love the ombre effect on the petals, where it goes from pink to white. Very, very delicate. But it's a surprise because I didn't know this was a Cher's Dream. I thought it was something else. Because it did, right here, this one bloomed, and it has nothing to do with Cher's Dream. It was this cute little pink dendrobium that smelled like raspberry. Now this, which I think it's a mini anosmia. This, you guys always comment about this flower and this orchid. I've had this for a very, very long time. This poor orchid has been through the ringer, but finally when I put it here, it really established itself so well that it started growing its roots on the wall. And I'm leaving it there because, you know what? If it's not broke, don't fix it. It always gives me a beautiful cluster of flowers. And this is what we call, this is my own tagging here, the rustic spots. The rustic spots with a Cattleya. And it starts off as a very deep red, and it transitioned into this gorgeous pumpkin color. Look how pretty that is. And it's funny, when I first got this orchid, I thought that because it was switching colors, that it had a virus. Because sometimes viruses, they show like this weird shape of coloring in the petals, but it's not. It sheds the red and becomes pumpkin. Very, very beautiful, beautiful orchid. And I'm always so happy to share it with you guys. Whew, the sun's coming out and I'm feeling the heat. All right, this is my greenhouse for you guys who are just tuning in for the first time. This is where I keep most of my orchids and my aroids. As you guys can see, it's pretty packed in here. When my partner first finished the other half, it looked like a museum. It looked like a gallery. Every orchid was displayed beautifully, but in less than 6 months, this place got so crowded. I wish it would have fragrance, but it does not. And of course, you guys remember that this was the throne for my green flash. But I feel that this is better here because of the long spike. Now, speaking of the green flash, I'll take you to the green flash right now. I don't know if you guys recall when I entered her in the judging, and it was 3-4 days outside in a tent, and apparently it didn't do well. Well, I repotted her in this awesome pot. This is from Ophi's. Guys, this is possibly the best arid pot I've bought, because look at the holes, how thin they are, but there's so many and it doesn't spill the medium. So I was like, oh, my little girl needs this pot. As soon as I put her here, look at how many spikes it's giving me. She is back, guys. My queen is back. She had lost all her leaves. She wasn't growing any shoots, and look, brand new shoots all over the place, new spikes everywhere. Let me see if I can. This is gonna be tough because I want you guys to really, really see her. I'm sorry, Mama, that I'm moving you from your spot. Hold on, because you guys got to see how she's developed. Look at that. She is back with a vengeance, with so many buds, so many leaves coming out, so many new shoots. Like, everything is on steroids. So my little girl's back. So there she is, guys. There's my girl. Now I do need to, kind of like fix her up a little bit, because I've been just growing her, feeding her, trying to keep her in good care. And she responded very well. So this is my green flash dendrobium, one of my oldest ones. So if you guys get a chance to order these from Ophi's, they're really good for your dendrobiums because they dry out pretty quick. Dendrobiums don't like to sit in water too much. They're not crazy about all that water, by the way. Now look over here. Look at this gorgeous spike. Now this one, that's the name. It's very special to me for many reasons. Number one, is from Cuba, and I love collecting orchids from Cuba. Really, really nice fragrance. It usually gives me 2 to 3 spikes, very long spikes like this. And look at how pretty it's established itself. I told her, can I put my orchid, can I leave my orchid here while I shop? And she's like, sure. You can leave it right there. And I go, you know what? I'm going to put it in this pot that you have on display. And when I put it in there, I'm like, oh, Roxy, I think I'm going to take this pot. I go, it's too perfect for the flower. So look, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. So if you guys want to purchase any of these, she makes them in all different colors. It's Orchids 365. You can go on her website. Very simple. Orchids, www.orchids365.com. And you can order these from her, or you could just see her at the show. She's in a lot of shows in Miami. What, Papa? She's trying to get my attention when I don't pay attention to her. I know. Come down. Look at her. Come down from your condo. Now check this gorgeousness out. Is this not the most incredible pattern you've ever seen? Now I got this from my good friend, Pam. Here's a name. This is kind of rubbed out, but you can kind of see the name there. And I believe this is the first time it blooms for me. Hold on, let me move this around. Look at this, how gorgeous. It's just starting to open. I'm telling you, really, really beautiful. So I'm super, super happy I own this. I didn't even remember I owned this, to tell you the truth. When I saw it, I'm like, when did I get this? At the spring sale. And it's just a gorgeous flower. See, this one's starting to open too. Sometimes I look here because they do get stuck and it's okay to help them through, but no, this one's still opening. But see, I don't really have much to show here because everything else, well, this is very pretty. Standard Phalaenopsis. Because, as you know, as the summer comes in, Phalaenopsis usually start not dying back, but they kind of already bloom. So the next blooming cycle will probably be in the winter, late winter. All right, let's go to the fish room. I'm really excited about how my fish room is starting to develop. I finally finished my my 125-gallon tank that I was sharing with you guys on the last video, I believe, that I put out. And right before I left on vacation, I said I have to put some fish in here to start acclimating this aquarium, because without fish, the aquarium will not fully acclimate. And I fell in love with some beautiful fish from Neighborhood Fish Farm. Thank you guys for always giving us such beautiful, beautiful selections of fish. This is my fish room. I have about 10 orchids. Yes, I have 10 orchids. 10 aquariums now. 10, 11, if I include that little one. And here, you know, these are just tanks that I've separated. I'm setting this one up for something else. These are my specialty guppies. Let me see if I can. These are absolutely gorgeous. Look at these guys. They think they're going to eat as soon as...
Hello everyone, welcome back to my garden on this very beautiful, breezy, sunny Sunday afternoon here on Oahu. If you are tuning into my channel for the first time, mahalo for stopping by. My name is Kelly and I am an orchid lover from Hawaii. In my videos, I share with you my personal orchids that I grow here in my garden. I take you along with me to orchid shows, orchid nurseries, even my local big box store, Home Depot, because they have an amazing orchid selection there. I also share with you educational videos from different Orchid Society meetings that I attend, and I try to keep you up to date on any upcoming orchid event that's happening here in Hawaii. And I actually have a few announcements to make at the end of this video, so make sure you stay tuned. And every so often, I try to include some bonus footage of beautiful scenery, not only here on Oahu, but from the outer islands as well. Whenever I'm able to have the opportunity to travel, that is. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in seeing, you can help me grow my channel by hitting that subscribe button. So today's video is just going to be a really quick one just to show you guys what I currently have in bloom, starting with these beautiful orchids that I have in front of me. And these orchids are brand new. I just brought them home yesterday, but I didn't purchase these. So I'm going to tell you guys the story behind these orchids and how I got them. So about a month or so ago, I received a text message from Susan, who is the president of the Windward Orchid Society. And she was inviting me to their appreciation luncheon. So I am not a member of the Windward Orchid Society, but I did do a video to help promote their orchid show a few months ago. And I also did a video of their show last year. So out of appreciation, they invited me to their luncheon. and I was given one orchid, and I got to choose which orchid I wanted out of like, gosh, it looked like they had hundreds of orchids that Scott Mitamora had brought in for the luncheon that day. And the one that I chose was this beautiful one right here. Look at how pretty it is, guys. Let me show you the tag. So besides being very beautiful, as you can see, one of the other reasons that I chose this orchid is because these orchids do really well mounted, and I like to mount my orchids. So that is why I chose this one. And I believe it's fragrant. So I'm not detecting too much of a fragrance right now, but I do believe it is fragrant. As for the other 4 orchids that you see, these I won through a raffle that they were having. So they were selling raffle tickets for $1 each, and I ended up purchasing $10 worth. But while I was there, I met a longtime club member named Craig, and we were chatting, and he was telling me how he joined the society when he was 18 years old, and he is now in his 60s. Anyways, he ended up gifting me 10 more tickets, so I had a total of 20 tickets, and my name got called 4 times. But when they call your name, they just hand out the orchids. You don't get to choose. So these are the 4 orchids that I ended up with. So let me show you the tag on my Instagram page, and I do post quite a bit on there. Anyways, one of my viewers, or a few of my viewers, this orchid, and this is the name. I just dropped my phone, guys. Anyways, this is the name right here. So hopefully that's correct. Look at how pretty this is, and it is so fragrant. I love the pink color. The one right next to it is also in bud, so this one will be blooming soon. And here's another hono hono right here. So these are really late bloomers. And the one right next to it is about to open as well. And don't mind the mess, guys. It is that time of year again where the trees behind my house starts dropping leaves and flowers and just creates a huge mess in my yard. It drives me nuts, but there's nothing that I can do about it. Anyways, going back to other orchids in this section that have been giving me spikes, my Lilian Yamata, I recently divided this one. Finally gave me another flower. Such a cool flower. And this is a Dendrobium Oriental Smile butterfly that I purchased from Home Depot for like $14. And I bought 2 of these. You may have seen the other one was next to my fountain area. But I've already had this for, I don't know, maybe a month now. So the flowers have already started to fade. This species right here was given to me by Ben Kodama Jr. I don't have a picture of what it looked like when he first gave it to me. It had several more flowers, but the flowers are already on their way out. I'm gonna try and zoom in on the tag. I can't pull it out, it's pretty stuck in there, but it is an Engrecum. Hopefully you can read that. This flower right here still looks pretty good, so let me zoom in on this so you guys can see what the flower looks like. these flowers are just so adorable. So I just want to say thank you to Ben. I know he watches my videos, so thank you again, Ben. I'm going to do my best to keep it alive.
Striving for truth and not somebody else dictating to you how to do your thing, which you know how to do better than anybody else.